I'm going to do a quick demo for you on how to work with air dry clay to make some dishes. You can use it for like jewelry or your keys, whatever you want to do. I'm going to start off by explaining just the materials that I have. So I have some air dry clay. I have the dish that I want to use as kind of a mold for my craft. And then I have a variety of different stamps that I'll be using. And a rolling pin. Gotta make sure you have a nice work surface. I put wax paper just on a cutting board because it gets kind of sticky. And then I have some ink that I'll use with my stamps. I have sandpaper that when you are done with your dish, you will just sand down. Once it's dry, you can just do the edges to smooth everything out. All right, so I'm gonna start by just grabbing some clay. And get kind of a pretty solid handful. It's very sticky, so some tricks that you can use too. You can put some lotion on your hands just to make it stick a little bit less. And then you can also, while you're working with the clay, have a little bit of water on hand, like in a small dish or something, just so that if you kind of make a mistake, you can easily just, it's like an eraser for your clay. You can just kind of mold that out of the way. So if your thumbprints or something are in it, it's a good way to just fix that, no problem. So I'm just gonna take my rolling pin, roll out the clay, get it to like the desired thickness that you want. And this activity is really great because there's a lot of proprioceptive input that I'm getting by rolling out this clay. A lot of tactile just from the texture of the clay itself. So it works on a lot of great things, which is why we chose it for the population that we're working with. Perfect. Okay, so now that I've got it to the thickness that I want, I'm gonna grab my dish. I'm gonna turn it upside down. I'm going to just push it into the clay a little bit. I'm taking a butter knife and just cutting around the edges just to kind of trace the bowl. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then I'm just gonna gently pull up on that. And make sure you don't push too hard when you are tracing it, because then it will get stuck in your dish, which I may have done. Yes, I did. So if that happens, you can just take your knife, kind of unstick it. Okay. So again, don't worry too much about the edges of your bowl because you are gonna use sandpaper at the end and really smooth it out, so it'll be fine if it's not totally perfect. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the stamp I want to use. I'm gonna use this heart-shaped stamp, and I'm just gonna cover it in the ink I want. So I chose purple. Okay. And once it's covered, I'm just gonna push this straight onto my clay. Make sure every bit is covered. Perfect. Okay. So now that it looks like this, I'm just gonna put this in my bowl and kind of gently push down so it kind of goes down into the bowl, but not too much. I don't want it to like sink in completely, just to get some good edges on the bowl. Okay. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna let this dry for about 24 hours. and by then it will just kind of pop out. And then after that I will sand it down and you will have something that looks just like this. Super easy. The stamps make it really fun because you don't have to put a lot of detail into it. If you are a really good artist, you can paint your work on there. And I would probably do that afterwards, might be easier. But stamps are a really good way to just do it really quickly. And if you're less artistic like me, it works out perfectly. Okay, I'm also gonna show you guys how to make another little craft. We're gonna do a coaster. So this is a coaster that I already have at home. I'm just gonna use it as kind of my shape that I want. So I'm gonna do the same thing, get some clay, another big blob of clay. Okay, and back to the rolling pin. And again, this is an activity that's really working on the senses, so if you want to even increase the senses that you're using, maybe have some essential oils going in the background or a candle or something like that to really just play into the senses. And like I said, using lotion is a good way to keep the clay from sticking, but that also just adds a sensory component to it if you wanted to do like a scented lotion. Okay, so I'm just going to take my mold again, put it on top of the clay. I'm gonna cut around it, making sure to not push too forcefully on it so it doesn't stick. Okay, so now that I've done that, just gonna remove the excess clay. Okay. And just gonna do the same thing I did before with the bowl. I'm gonna pick a stamp. So for this one, I am gonna use this stamp. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. It has multiple levels, so just kind of add to the design. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my ink again. Place it on there. Okay. Gonna flip this over onto my coaster. And do a little bit more. Okay. And there you go, got my coaster, and I'm gonna let this dry again for about 24 hours. And that's it, guys. We'll kind of break down a little bit more of the activity, some ways you can grade it up and grade it down, just to kind of help you with whatever population you're specifically working with. But it's a really great activity for so many different people. Thanks.